Welcome to the podcast. It's me, Zero, here with.
The Decade.
Rye.
VashieV.
Today we're talking about Uchuu Sentai KyuuRanger episode 4. So first we get a recap by Raptor this time. Then we cut to explosions surrounding Hami, Spada, Lucky, Gato, and Champ in Ranger form. And Lucky finally says unlucky because Elidron, whatever, is beating them up. But before he can finish them off, Raptor swoops in and attacks. And then she flies up to a cliff and apologizes for hiding that she's actually strong. And then she attacks again and poses claiming that she will retake the galaxy. But then the image fades and we see Raptor outside of the ship writing and illustrating a story on her tablet. And she wishes that she could fight and says, "Right, uncle?" And it's kind of strange. I mean, last episode we got Champ referencing his creator a lot, but this is definitely different, which we will find out.
So when this scene even started, my first thought was that this was like a dream or something.
This was a good setup considering the episode, but I really enjoyed the fact that they referenced that I guess that Raptor and the ship were made by the same people, I guess. But yeah, it was a nice little misdirection fantasy thing.
Yeah, it was pretty cute. I mean, yeah, when I first saw it, I'm like, yeah, this has to be a dream. It's too awesome. But my other thing was, I'm like, holy shit, it's freaking Akiba Pink. And then I'm like, yeah, no, that's too close to reality at this point. With this delusion going on. But it was really cool to see a fight scene, especially with like her jetpacks and everything. I'm like, I don't think she actually has jetpacks, but that was pretty cute.
Yeah, considering she had to parachute in last episode. Then we cut to professional Raptor telling the Rangers they know what planet they're headed to next. Sholompo tells everyone to hold on tight, and he says to engage warp. And the Rangers react differently to that. Lucky gets excited. Naga doesn't react. Champ keeps lifting weights, and everyone kind of just freaks out. And then Raptor engages the warp, and the Rangers enter zero gravity. They arrive, and Sho tells them that this is Earth, and that their mission is to liberate the planet. Then the narrator recaps the legend, and the opening plays.
So when Sho told Raptor to engage, she responded with "OQ" as her confirmation thing. So yeah, that's their confirmation word now.
Like it was that whole scene was nice with everybody, or the commander and Raptor buckling in, and everybody else not having any idea what was going on. It probably my internet. It was nice to see them floating and everything else because they didn't lock in. That was a nice thing. That's all I've got.
Yeah, that was interesting. I mean, like, nice floating effect and stuff. But my only other question with that is, like, didn't we fly to, like, a couple other planets by this point? Like, what the hell were they using before warp? Right? What, did they jump to hyperdrive and this time they decided to switch to warp?
They've been using impulse.
Sorry, what, Ray?
I said probably.
I think it kind of gets explained by what Champ says later, but yeah, it is kind of silly, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. Okay, yeah, you could say impulse, but like, they literally jumped a couple star systems when Lucky threw a stupid dart. You know what? They probably were using the infinite improbability drive at that point. Because, hey, what the hell, with Lucky's luck, it probably would have worked.
I just want to see Yarn Lucky now.
Okay, so yeah, after the opening, we get the title of the episode, Space 4, The Dreaming Android. And Hami says that she's never heard of Earth and asks where it is. Raptor brings up a hologram and zooms in. Champ laughs because apparently it's in an insignificant area of the galaxy. Oh, you got something to say, Rai?
Well, I was gonna say, like, we pretty much are. Like, we're not near any other intelligent life.
Well, it's not even the intelligent part. It's because we're not even on any like real major star forming regions, or we're not even on an actual arm on the Milky Way. We're like a slight offshoot between like two major arms. So like yeah, we literally are in like some random shithole like I mean like 3/4 the way out of the galaxy. I mean like from the center, we're like 3/4 to the edge.
I'm amazed they didn't hear banjos.
It's Japan. What would the equivalent be?
Space banjos.
Space Bench. Uh, you know what? They took the ending singers from Tokuger who that showed up in that random episode, stuck them on the galaxy line, and that's who's playing around Earth.
Yeah, so then let's see. Oh yeah, Raptor brings up images of all the Moemazu ships on Earth, and there are a ton of them. Naga asks if there's a governor for each ship, which there probably is. Champ wonders how the planesium hasn't been drained yet, but we don't get any answers. Show announces that they'll decide the five sortie party using the Q-let, which is the little toy thing that they use in the pre-post episode little guessing game. And then Hammy asks why not all five, or why not all the Rangers just go down there. And Raptor explains that their Q energy can't be tapped into unlimitedly. So that's kind of interesting that they actually have some form of restriction on their powers, and that they need to use it efficiently.
This seems like a bit of a lazy way to explain, like, well, why they're not using all of them all the time. Like, I want to see like mix and matchups here, but this just feels like a bit of lazy writing.
My issue with it is I see this getting thrown out the window fairly soon. It's a great idea for, we have to limit our resources with whatever energy it is that they're using to morph. Great, fantastic. But it's going to get to the point where it gets thrown out the window. I see that coming.
Right. On this topic, yeah, I kind of agree. It's freaking lazy as hell. But it's maybe they can do something cool with it. I don't think so. Like sometimes like Sentai power-ups and stuff have limits. That would be cool if we started running up to the limits. Ultraman gets a lot of tension. Gets a lot of tension and decent pacing out of its timer thing. So like, yeah, you could do it if you write a show well enough around it. But like, hopefully eventually it's gonna get tossed out the window because all 9 of them are gonna start showing up and shit. But like, hopefully at that point they explain like, yeah, we beat enough of these guys or we invented something new or whatever. At least try to give a decent reason, not just, oh yeah, we said this one episode, 3 episodes down the line, forget that logic.
Yep. Then Sholompo starts dancing as the ending song plays, and we get some like disco lighting. He then uses the Q-let, and basically the BN thieves are staying behind. Naga says he's vexed, but he makes a super creepy smile while saying it, which I thought was pretty awesome. Sho puts them in charge of equipment and tells Raptor that she has an important mission, and of course she gets all excited. But then he says that Earth has delicious fruits called peaches and that he wants to try some, so Raptor's gonna buy them. And that's the end of that.
One nice touch is that they show Spada noticing Raptor's disappointment. I liked that.
Yeah, that was nice. I did like them using the roulette thing from the guessing game at the beginning of the episode too.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Like lately, even Ryder and Sentai have gotten like somehow, I don't know, maybe it's somebody producing or production just kind of got like, okay, this is how you shoot the toys, so to make it less toy commercially, but like, put the random elements of the show into the show to make it more canon. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. Also really nice that like, yeah, you see Sparta noticing that Raptor is, kind of disappointed in all this. So that hopefully that sets up a pretty good character arc. Also, like, I love how like Raptors, like, when their commander is like going all, having his show off moment, and she's just like, like applauding, but like in the most like I don't give a fuck. I'm just getting paid to do this way. It's freaking great.
uh,
Yep. Then we cut to Conquered Earth, and there are a ton of cars just left in the streets. A lot of the children seem just lifeless. And then Garo hears a distant scream. We cut to the governor, Yume Pakun, and he's asking a child what his dream is. And his eyes glow yellow, the dream manifests, and then the governor eats the dream.
Backing up a little bit, while the KyuuRangers are just walking down the road, Raptor does stop to say that she'll go find Peaches, and again, Spada looks at her, and he actually this time actually says something. He goes, "What's wrong?" before they get interrupted by the monster. I just wanted to point that out, that they brought that forward a little bit.
Yeah. So then Lucky attacks him. The governor explains that there's nothing more delicious than children's dreams. So yeah, they get pissed off. The KyuuRanger star change, and then they fight. While Raptor watches from the sidelines, wishing that she could join in. Her big dream catches Yume Pakun's attention, and he tries to eat her dream, but Spada interferes. Lucky rushes over to the kid whose dream was eaten, but the dad pushes him away. Then Spada scolds
Wait.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna say, yeah, it's lucky that the other Sentai teams aren't around. Or buddy, Tokuzers would have wrecked your shit for doing the thing you just did. I was like, that's so dumb.
Yeah, like the Tokyujers would have been mad about this. Dego Rangers would have been mad about this. I'm sure the Maj Rangers would have been mad about this. There's a lot of Sentai that hold dreams to high importance.
Yeah, I guess we'll see how exactly Dark Matter got away with this, but or how they didn't get away with it. We'll see. So then Spada scolds Raptor and tells her to return to Oriongo. Lucky asks what her dream is, but she says she doesn't have one. And then Lucky reminds her to buy the peaches before she returns. And then Hammy gets kind of upset because of how dull he is.
Yeah!
Yeah, Hammy finally getting some more.
Yeah, she gets a real line! She's starting to have a real personality. I love it. Finally. Like, she's had nothing so far in the first 3 episodes. She just laughs at inappropriately at things that aren't funny. And it's just super awkward. But if you watch the Henshin lessons side thing, she has a real personality in those. And now we're starting to see it in the actual show. I love it. She's finally being a character. This is our first female Green. I'm super excited about this.
It's nice that those little side videos get to cross over with an important show like Sentai. It's good to see crossovers that work. Besides that terrible joke, yeah, it was nice to see somebody call Lucky out on his shit, but like, with that being said, like the 2 traits that Green has is, one, she thinks everything is funny for no apparent reason, and 2 is she gets constantly annoyed by Lucky's shit. And like either sarcastically remarks on it or calls him out on his bullshit. Which, I'm all for.
I feel like the awkward laughing at things was filler because they just didn't know what to write for her at the time, and that is being dropped. At least that's what I hope is happening.
Yeah, that'd be cool if that actually happened. You go back.
I'm just hoping they keep continuing her calling Lucky on his shit.
Okay, so yeah, then we cut to the Rangers eating curry at a restaurant. Spada explains that Raptor has delusions of fighting despite being designed as a pilot/secretary android. And then we get a flashback of him walking in on her writing in her delusion diary. And basically she storms out, embarrassed. Gato's kind of surprised that she feels that way, but Spada reminds him that she wasn't designed for combat like Champ and that she could actually get hurt. And everyone but Lucky pretty much agrees that, yeah, she probably shouldn't fight since she plays such an important role as the pilot and stuff. And Lucky kind of just gets tired of the conversation and leaves. And then we see the name of the restaurant, which is Cafe Safari, which was the hangout of Taiyo Sentai Sun Vulcan, and where the Gokaigers ate in episode 1.
That's what I was gonna point out, is that this series feels like it's trying really hard to be Gokaiger, because the first thing the Gokaigers did when they got to Earth was go eat curry, except they got interrupted when it was blown up.
Oh, that's horrible. I mean, Cafe Safari's whole thing, I guess, in the combined Rider Sentai verse is they make the greatest curry on Earth, or I guess in the universe or something. So I'm like, yeah, well, if you're on a stop on Earth, like, it's probably one of the good places to go. Interesting it's still open, but what the hell, you know. Little cafes that stay open during the apocalypse, I guess that's a thing that they're borrowing from Rider, you know, with all the Kuga and stuff. Yeah, it's kind of cool that Sparta straight up points out, it's like, yeah, alright, not all robots are built to fight. And the other thing is, like, yeah, he's like genuinely concerned that, like, you know, she will get destroyed and, like, we can't replace her, you know. So I'm like, that's pretty cool. And the whole group agrees, except for then Lucky totally destroys the moment, and he basically just says, you guys don't agree with me, therefore I'm not listening to you, and until you agree with me, you know, I'm just gonna do my own shit. And I'm like, you fucking asshole. I mean, he's kind of right, but that was such a dumbass thing to do. Like, if he wasn't the Red, like, somebody else would have called him out on that.
Yeah, that was the most annoying thing he did in this episode.
Right. The curry thing is like, I'm so glad that there's another Sentai team that eats food visibly. I don't know why I enjoy seeing that in these shows, but I do. It adds, I guess, an ideal of realism to the giant fantasy that is the show. But in terms of like the entire team with Raptors, like it was genuine concern for her well-being. Albeit she's a robot, but it wasn't just, oh, well, we need you to fly the ship. It was, you can get hurt. This is not what you were made for. It wasn't condescending the way it could have been, the way Lucky took it. And then, but yeah, Lucky's reaction to it, to me, was one of the worst things about this episode, except for the fact that they're on Earth already.
Yep.
Lucky is such a fucking weirdo, man. I mean, he had a really good point of, like, yeah, you're like, you know, you're just holding back this person's dream, basically, because they weren't perfectly made for this task, you know, you're holding them. Which is a cool, like, awesome sentiment. He just went about it the dumb, stupidest way possible. On the food thing, like, I'm still saying, like, early Heisei writer, you know, probably has, like, the best, like, alright, we actually live here, and we fight monsters, because, like, all I could think of was, like, right, like, Kuga, they sort of did it. Agito, they definitely did it. Ryuki, yeah. Faiz, holy shit, man. It was pretty much a drama where rider fights just broke out, and, like, the other shows have it too, going forward. But yeah, you're right, Sentai tends to have a lot less of this, which is weird because they have a team. Just, like, sit at a freaking table, eat some food, and, you know, have the plot happen around that. Or, you know, like, I mean, you have an entire crew. Don't you have down moments? I mean, like, Shuojer was kind of good at that, where it's like, hey, these guys aren't from around here, so let's just introduce them to normal human shit, so we can have a little bit of downtime. But, yeah, Sentai is kind of weird. I mean, like, even Ultraman, sort of, because I've seen, like, okay, I haven't seen a lot of Ultraman, but I've seen Mebius, but, you know, because they work for like the defense force, they have like a freaking cafeteria that they like go and sit and eat and discuss normal life shit. So that's pretty cool. I mean, maybe it's good that they're adding stuff like that. Maybe it means they're gonna add more character instead of just standard, oh, here's the monster of the week, let's just put in some random padding till the episode's over. So it's good to get more characters, especially with like 9 of them. Like, can we just have them just bounce off each other, right?
Yeah, all of the Rangers did make good points about protecting Raptor. So then we cut to Raptor storming into the cockpit. She stuffs 2 cans of peaches in Sho Lumpo's face. Naga points out to Balance that he recognizes her emotion as anger. Balance says that he's correct. And Sho is pretty much just confused by the canned fruits.
Are we supposed to believe that this guy doesn't know what canned fruit is? What cans are? Do aliens not have cans? Is that such obscure technology?
Okay, yeah. For me, I was like, that would have been hilarious if it's like, I asked for pizzas and you bring me this. Yeah, it would. Like, for a second, I was totally bought it, because then he's like, oh shit, now what do I do, right? But yeah, you're right. If you kind of put it like that, it's like, haven't we heard of cans? I mean, maybe they just all have replicators, so they don't really have canned food, but it's still weird. Like, eventually, like, you'd have to run into canned food somewhere, right? Like, you're traveling around the galaxy. Vash, you got anything on this?
Yeah, that threw me off too. It's like I get the whole outer space thing and all that. It's like, but and the fact that replicators should exist with the technology that does exist. But yeah, the fact that he's like, yeah, the way it came across is he had no idea what a can was, rather than you're just being a smartass, aren't you?
I didn't even consider that he might just be acting like, oh, like this is a peach. Or it could have just been like him looking at the label on the can, seeing the fruit, like, oh, so this is what it looks like. If you want to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I don't think that was the intention when they wrote that line.
I mean, it's kind of hard to tell exactly what they're going for, because it's like, it's a costume face. Like, it only has such limited, like, movement, right? Or emotion that you could pull off from it, so it's like, yeah. I mean, they're probably like, oh, this is a peach, like, it's in a can. I mean, like, obviously he'd figure it out, but, like, I think his first reaction is probably more like, I didn't ask for the canned version, you know?
I think that's one of the problems with having these characters, with the full prosthesis, is you can't really get a read on their emotions really well, and facial expressions and everything else along with that. Though, speaking of emotions, I do enjoy the fact that they're still doing the whole Naga guessing emotions things. I really like that.
Yeah, so far I think Naga's still my favorite. Oh yeah, then we cut to the governor in some really creepy room on the Morai Mazu, I guess. He's throwing a fit pretty much, and I was just kind of surprised at how much effort they put into that room with all the balloons and the stuffed animals. It really was creepy, but I guess they did a good job, and they did reuse that room for the henshin lesson. But yeah, it was just such a short scene. But anyways, then we cut back to Raptor reading her fiction on the ship, and Lucky startles her. She then says that she's broken and reiterates the purpose of her creation, and she's worried about her delusions and wonders if she should be repaired. But Lucky assures her that her delusions aren't delusions, but dreams, and that dreams are awesome. And his current one is to defeat Dark Matter with the rebellion. And before they're able to fist bump, Lucky gets a call on the Seiza Blaster. And Hammy says that the governor has children rounded up, and then Lucky drags Raptor along with him back to Earth. So, any thoughts on Lucky?
His least annoying speech yet.
Yeah, it seems like this that give me hope that they're not going to pull in Takaharu from Ninja with him. Like, this speech to me seemed more earned than the speech he gave Champ in the last episode, because this one he completely understood this situation, albeit he kind of acted like a douche nozzle with when everybody else was going, this is a bad idea. But it showed, genuine concern for Raptor's feelings and everything else, and with her, I think I'm broken, and he's like, no, this is good. So I mean, it was nice to see that he actually has a brain when it comes to things.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, much better than last episode's speech, which was frankly quite shit. Um, this one actually deserved earned. My one thing that I was weirded out by is like, okay, the whole team is on the ground. What are you doing up here? But I'm like, all right, Pink doesn't have her, or Raptor doesn't have her like mech yet, so I guess somebody had to fly her up there. But it's still kind of a weird thing where it's like down, up, and it's like, how much time did we waste doing this? Like, the atmosphere is pretty long thing to get through, but whatever. I mean, at least he had a pretty decent moment there. I mean, hopefully he kind of mellows out and acts more like this sort of leader going forward instead of his dumbassery that we've seen for the last couple episodes.
I get that you don't watch a lot of Sentai, but Sentai mecha flying from the surface to the moon in under a few minutes is nothing new.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, except like last episode, they were launching, like Orange was attacking Red, and it's like at that kind of speed, like Red should have been gone. But whatever. Whatever. Sentai's inconsistent. That's fine. I'm still waiting for that freaking Forza Go Busters ring around Saturn rider kick type thing, but I guess we're never gonna get that. Freaking being stuck on Earth, what nonsense.
So, Lucky arrives on the scene with Raptor. Spada scolds Lucky. He doesn't really care. Then a group of adults show up furious that they're being punished because of the KyuuRanger's disobedience. The father from earlier tells them not to interfere because the governor is just taking dreams and not their lives. No big deal. And this really upsets Lucky, who says living without a dream is the same as being dead. And the Rangers go through the crowd and star change. And then we get a super awkward scene cut to some industrial area. But I guess that's just what happens when you have the commercial earlier. And Yume Pakun spots Raptor and charges her, but Lucky and Spada protect her. Lucky is protecting Raptor's dream, but Spada is pretty much just protecting her as a pilot and android. And then Lucky says that Spada's reasoning is no different than that of the governor's, who is literally stealing dreams. And then Spada realizes how rude he was and asks Raptor what she wants. And she gains the courage to shout that she wants to fight with everyone, and a pink Kyutama materializes in front of her.
She just had to believe in herself.
With me, it's like with this entire setup, I enjoyed everything from the way the adults reacted to everything. Because this is the world that they're used to. Toe the line or things get worse. So them getting upset with the Rangers getting, interfering, it seems natural for the world that was built. And even, and then we have, Lucky's speech, little speech to Spada about basically you trying to protect her is basically the same as, you're basically squashing her dream, which is no different than taking it, which in reality is kind of this, is one and the same. And it was another nice little earned little speech from Lucky that didn't seem, just like thrust upon him because he's red. It was legitimate from him seeing everything that's going on, and it was a nice, touching moment. And then the way Pink Raptor got her Kyutama, the courage to believe in herself and what she's capable of and what she wants to do. It was, and admitting it not only to herself but to everybody else. I liked it.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. You pretty much said what I was gonna say. Just a couple more things. Like, yeah, this speech that Lucky gave Sparta is much better than like the one he gave Blue, because I'm like, this one actually hit with the weight it was supposed to, as opposed to like that first episode one where it's like, who the fuck are you to talk, you know, right? But in this, we see like his reasoning and everything that he's going through and he's seen. So like, yeah, it makes a lot more sense and is actually really well done. As for you gotta just believe, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of cheesy, but like she's an android, so you know, just overcoming your basic programming to do something more. I mean, I guess she's slightly delusional already, but maybe it's a lot harder for like an android to do that than most humans, so I guess it's a little more impressive, but you know, she's a cool character. It's good to see her power. Like it was gonna happen eventually. Um, Two other things. One, when like Lucky just gives the speech of like, you know, living with no dream is basically like, you know, you're being dead. That just reminded me of that moment from like that Eternal movie where he goes to the camp with like the, you know, one of the other Foundation X camps where like they're training psychics and stuff. And he's like, the hell's wrong with you people? Like, if I'm trying so hard to live and I'm a freaking zombie, you know, like, why don't you guys give living a chance too? But as in that, and here with the adults, like, this is the world that they know. So, like, you can't really hate them too much, but, like, you know, somebody outside, an outsider has to come in, like, you know, show an alternative point of view. So, that's what that reminded me of. And the other thing was, with like all they're just taking the children's dreams or futures. That just reminded me of like the world of like what was the freaking Drive Tyson one, Grand Prix. Yeah, where like, you know, even the kids are indoctrinated and like Shocker's taken over and everything. It just reminded me of a world like that, where like Black shows up and it's like, I'm doing this to protect the kids' future, even though like, you know, like none of the adults or the kids actually want that, but you know, it's the right thing to do. So that was pretty cool. It just gave me a little bit of that vibe.
Yeah, that really was a great movie. So then Sholompo and Naga are surprised, but Balance is kind of still tinkering, which will be significant later. Then Lucky hands her a spare Seizo blaster that he got from out of nowhere. And then Raptor uses the Washi Q-Tama to star change into the winged Washi Pink, and Spada encourages her to fight with them. So last Sentai we had a red eagle, and now we have a pink eagle. Isn't that nice?
Isn't she a phoenix?
Washi. I mean, I think if she was a phoenix, it'd say phoenix.
I think
she's
it's
just
an eagle.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah. So then we get a 6 Ranger roll call, and the opening theme starts. Raptor uses the Q shot in battle, which is basically the Q, the weapon. Yeah, that's what it's called in the commercials, without any of the attachments or things sticking out. So it's pretty much just another blaster. Then we cut to Naga and Balance calling in. Balance says that the Q buckle is linked to the Oriongo and says that it can send the ground team Q-Tamas at any time. Just teleport them into their belt. Yeah, thoughts?
It's just Gokaiger when they were pull their keys out of their buckles.
Vashi, you got anything?
Just that he grabbed the star change device before they left the ship. They showed him grabbing it off the desk.
Okay,
Other than that, I got nothing.
Yeah, Naga and Balance were doing repairs to it, I guess, or something. It was sitting on the desk. That was pretty cool. I guess now Sentai is just so used to like flying suits that they're like, you know, especially from like last year, like 2 flying rangers, that now whatever, it's just a standard effect now. We can just use it whenever, which is really cool. Especially because like, okay, it's not gonna be as awesome as this intro fight scene, but man, this fight scene was pretty awesome with Pink's first like henshin and fight when she's like flying all over. That was pretty awesome. And like she's, you know, her thing is Speed Star, like, you know, one of the few that actually makes sense with their damn name, because like she is really fast, like much faster than most of the other rangers.
Yeah, but the Q-Tamas that they send to the Q buckle Spada gets the Kani Kyutama number 21 Seiza attack, which is pretty much Kamen Rider Scissors Strike Vent, but it's way bigger and it's made of pure Q energy. And he pretty much just uses a giant claw to throw a bunch of the Indabis out into the horizon, Team Rocket style. Then we get two Tsuyoindabis that fire missiles at pink and yellow. Raptor taunts them into firing heat-seeking missiles, and then she flies and maneuvers through a factory to dodge them. It's pretty awesome. And then I guess she shoots two of the rockets, I think, in midair. And then, yeah, they pretty much think that she's done for. But she uses the time to use the Boen Kyo Kyutama, number 20, Seiza attack, which is pretty much kind of like a snipe attack. And she hits Yume Pakun's belly, which releases all the dreams that he's eaten. And then all the Rangers use the All-Star Crash to finish the Tsuyoindabi. The governor retreats into a Morai Mazu robo. The Rangers summon their Voyagers and Gattai with the Washi Voyager as the left arm. And they kind of just totally leave Hami out, even though it shows her summoning her Voyager. They just kind of wrote her off from that entire fight. Yeah, but so Raptor enthusiastically attacks. They Meteo break to shoot an energy arrow using Washi as a bow and finish off the robo, but the governor escapes. Yeah, it was a pretty nice finisher, I thought. Then the Rangers return to the Oriongo, where everyone congratulates Raptor, and Lucky kind of wishes that they had all 9 with Stinger, but Champ says to forget about him. Spada walks in with a pink cake for Raptor. Lucky says to eat up, and they'll defeat the governor next time.
You skipped over a detail.
Which
was Sho acting surprised at Raptor being the next KyuuRanger, and Naga going, "You knew it was her, didn't you?" Like, subtle foreshadowing that Shiolanpo might know more than he's letting on, and Naga's catching on to this, and he's trying to hide it.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to our last discussion of how he kind of just shows up with all these Kyutamas. But yeah, any other points?
I'm just glad that the mech went to the arm rather than to the back for Raptor's mech. It drives me nuts when mechs have unnecessary wings. The fact that the fact that the wings actually served a purpose on the arms, as essentially a double-sided sword.
Yep. Then we cut to Raptor again outside of the ship, saying that it's difficult to follow your dreams, but they'll come true with friends, the help of friends, I guess. She confirms with her uncle, who we find out is the Oriongo ship itself, after we hear a bellowing Orion. So yeah, her ship is apparently her uncle. I don't know how that works, but that's what we've been given.
Probably the same designer.
Yeah, that was my guess, made by the same manufacturer or something. Though, does still make me curious as to whether or not the ship is sentient or not, because that's the second little nod that it's sentient that we've had. When Lucky crashed into it the first time he launched his mech.
Shishi Voyager.
Yeah, Shishi Voyager. It shook its head, and then this time it spoke.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even think of the manufacturer thing, which is weird because Raptor, whatever number. And it's like, I'm one of the androids made for the rebellion. I'm like, wow, this rebellion's pretty good off. They have their own ships and mass-produced androids now with jackets. Like, why? We're losing Y now? Yeah, but for me, I just thought she just refers to the other machine as it's something familial, even though they probably don't have any relation. But yeah, it could be the same manufacturer. That'd be kind of cool. And the other thing is oh yes, Orion, very clever for your ship show. I mean, what's Orion known for? Oh yes, it's a constellation you find by finding his belt. And what's the freaking carrier? You see the torso, and where are the mechs stored? Oh right, on his belt. I'm like, all right, designers, good job. Pretty good use of constellation symbolism, I guess, or iconography there. But that's all I got.
Yeah, that is a pretty interesting point. So then we cut to Ellie Dron, whatever, reporting to Don Armage that the Rangers on Earth, he tells him that they must not learn the secret of that planet and to end their existence. And Stinger's pretty much just ready to fight them again. And then we get the ending song with Raptor and Shalompo dancing and the little Kutamas, and not so subtle hint that Shalompo is getting a purple Kutama down the line.
Shh, spoilers, even though they're making it super obvious at every turn.
Yeah, from that to the way he was introduced, yeah, they just overkilled the obviousness on that one with that.
The opening theme, when they show his name, they show it in purple.
Right, and that's what they did when they introduced him too. It's like, now we play the waiting game for the obvious thing to happen.
Well, I mean, I'm more impressed with the way this show's been going on with its reveals of new forms and stuff. They haven't revealed the guy after him yet, and what his gimmick is, I guess, or whatever. The other thing is, like, Orange being more pissed that, they shouldn't find out the secret. I'm like, oh, so are we gonna learn that, like, he's from Earth or something? What, is this, like, Godspeed Love future Earth? With, like, it's all desert and shit, and there's a bunch of assholes everywhere, So, like, he's part worm or something, and that's why he has the tail. I don't know. Weirdly enough, like, a lot of the weird, like, oh no, the Earth's gone to shit in the future can pretty much be, like, linked and put onto the same Earth as, like, Godspeed Love's Earth, and, like, it'd be perfectly fine.
So it just all starts with that meteor?
Yeah, it could be, but what I meant was, like, okay, we have Godspeed Love. There's the one from Kiva, there's the one from Oz, right? And you're like, well, what, Oz is the rider with water? But the thing is, like, if you messed up, like, enough of the planet, like, you could have severe drought in one area and a lot of water in another. So, like, yeah, you could just fit both of them. And, like, basically future Kiva pretty much has like an O style outfit, so I'm pretty much guessing he's from like some place that has UFOs and a lot of sun. So like you could put Godspeed Love. Plus the UFO thing you could just imagine, because like, alright, Kiva's past timeline set in 1986. Black RX fought the Crisis Empire. They used UFOs. At some point, Yuri must have fucking put on Ixa, joined RX, kicked one of the people from the Crisis Empire or whatever. They must have survived, stolen some Fangires, and after, like, Kiva and Saga and those guys made the Fangires peaceful, and, like, most of these guys, then they reappeared. So, like, yeah, you could write that random fanfic of what happened back then. Plus, like, most of the futures where it goes to shit, like, either the planet's trash or it's a desert. So, like, because we only saw, like, one area in Godspeed Love, like, you could say the rest of them are happening all around. Like, it wouldn't affect Godspeed Love at all.
I'm sorry, who would be kidnapping Fangires in this hypothetical situation?
Because in the end of Kiva, like, you see, like, future Kiva comes back, and then he's like, oh, there's this UFO attacking. He's like, and they're like, what the hell is this? And it's like, oh, they're Neo-Fangire. And it's like, Neo-Fangire? But, like, Ixa's been around for like 20 years, so like at some point Ixa and RX would have had to team up, and like RX fought like Crisis Empire, right? And their thing was they had like UFOs. So I'm like, some of the Crisis Empire guys must have survived, and like because there was this like one weird episode in Kiva, or one or two parter, where like this human like experiments on a Fangire and like makes it stronger. So I'm like, was that guy one of the like remnants of Crisis Empire or something? So like you could technically write a fanfic of, yeah, it's just the Neo Fangire are just the remnants of the Crisis Empire that experimented on some Fangires and made some new tech, and after like 20 years they've shown back up again.
I can't believe I understood that.
Nice.
If this was Sentai, you could not be making this kind of fanfic. It actually makes some sense because of writer continuity and stuff. But yeah, that's the end of the episode. So, any final thoughts?
Right, you're gonna go ahead.
So this is the best episode yet. This definitely feels like a turning point in KyuuRanger, where we're getting the show is kicked off, and now the writing is getting more focused, and it's getting a lot better. Spada and Hame finally have real personalities. Their characters are starting to come out here, and I hope that this continues forward. Lucky has gone a lot less annoying. He's still in the spotlight, but they don't just have him there anymore. I hope that this is where the show actually starts. I can forgive a bad beginning if it's going to get good from here on out.
This episode was best so far. The pacing was perfect for the writing was seemed controlled, a lot less spastic. And the characters are actually showing development, whether it be the way they with like Hammy and Spada being the way that they should have been from the start, working into understanding who these characters are, since we still don't understand anything about them other than the fact that Hammy laughs at inappropriate things and Spada cooks. It Lucky feels a lot more controlled and mellow, for lack of a better term. I think he only said his little "that's Lucky" thing maybe once or twice in this episode, which is a fantastic turning point for this series. And then I also do like the fact that this episode had absolutely nothing to do with Stinger, minus that small little blip at the end. I'm glad that they let that simmer a little bit and didn't rush to it the way that Sentai normally does with these kind of things of here's a ranger who's introduced who's, not on the same page as everybody else, and by the next episode they're all gung-ho for the team. It's a nice slight change of pace, and I'm really enjoying it. And this episode specifically is making me really, really want to watch the show if this continues. The only gripe I have is the fact that they're on Earth this early and apparently are going to be there for a while. I will be very disappointed if they do not leave Earth at some point between now and the end of this series.
Yeah, Vashi, you pretty much covered everything I was gonna say. So I'm just gonna say, yeah, good episode. Hope this continues. Hope just because they have hit Earth, they don't slump into, excuses and using like standard Sentai formula, because like the show has so much potential. Like, use some of it. Like this episode showed like what the show could be if it really tries. So hopefully this keeps up, and the show should be pretty good.
Yeah, since KyuuRanger, I've definitely been noticing that the fights are getting a lot more creative, and that's one thing that I'm really liking. But yeah, this episode had just overall good balance, a lot of good character development, decent humor, good music and stuff. But yeah, that's about it. It's a pretty good episode, and I'm looking forward to that cameo in the next episode for those who have seen the preview. Thanks for listening.
See you next time.
See you next time. Thanks for joining.
Later, everyone. See you next time.